I seem to be getting so many distractions that make me have to restart these videos. So, day 5 of Shadows over Innistrad spoilers. End of the week spoilers. May have a couple by the end of the day. Other ones that aren't on here. But this is it for the end of the day and for the week for the time being. Oh, they'll start again Monday. But let's get into it. So, Behold the Beyond. 5 generic, 2 black. Sorcery, discard your hand, search your library for 3 cards, and put those cards into your hand, then shuffle your library. I'm not big on black cards that much. There are black cards that I like the, the Relentless Dead. Oh, that other mythic we got, the zombie. That one I thought was pretty cool. But this one this is kind of just boring. I mean, it's a tutor, it's a searcher, and it's going to be good in certain things, like Commander, where you have lots of mana to utilize that with. You can, if you're running a Madness Commander deck, which is an idea, I suppose, you discard your hand, you'll have enough money, because 7 mana is chump change in Commander decks. You can have like 15 mana, that's not even half your deck. So that's not a big issue. But and the tutor ability is fine if you need it, but when you in like just a one-on-one game that's not Commander, this card is really fucking expensive. 7 mana is not something to scoff at. No, most people run about 20 lands usually. That's over a third of your deck. I mean, great. A lot of people use mana dorks and things like that, and it will find its home and uses. But at the same time, I'm just not very big on this card. But that's just my opinion. I'm certain people will find awesome ways to make it relevant. Domino, hey, what you doing in there? Get out of there. Trying to just chew on something. Then we have Confirmed Suspicions. 3 generic, 2 blue. Instant rare. Counter target spell. Investigate 3 times. That's my kind of card. With the Monodorks we got here, I believe it's Deathcap, Cultivatus, which is the new one. You could get this. You could play this theoretically on turn 3 or 4, one of them, and that's providing you have more investigate tokens. It's a solid card around. It counters a spell, so right there, and then you get 3 basically free draws. So good card all around for that. The beauty I love about investigate is that you do not immediately have to sacrifice that the token, that clue token. You can just leave it there as long as you need to, and if you feel you're down on cards, you don't have what you need, then you can pay 2 for a draw. I love the ability all around. It's a great ability. Second Harvest. 2 well, I just want to check. Domino, come on. Down. Good girl. Because I'm like, I have to turn my what I see on the webcam off so I can read the cards. But I'm like, wait, what's going on behind me? And I'm like, Domino. Anyway. So Second Harvest. What about Second Harvest? 2 generic, 2 green, instant rare. For each token you control, put a token on the battlefield that's a copy of that permanent. So, an instant doubling season, more or less. It worked kind of. It's hard to explain how this works in many ways, but in comparison. But if you're running a token strategy, which a lot of people still run token strategies, heavy token strategies, this is a very solid card. I can already think of decks I'm going to put this in if I get it. Especially if I have a Devour deck, so I'm like, yeah, I go old school. I have a Devour deck, so that's going to be playing a big role in my Devour deck. I like it, but the thing is, it is only good if you are running tokens. That's the thing. It's a selective good card. In the decks that you're going to put this in, it's a very good card. But in any deck that doesn't use tokens, this is a completely useless card. Completely. If you have almost no token generation in your sealed pool, come a pre-release or whatever sealed event you're at, this card is going to be useless. But it's one of those things that I would love to run it like in the pre-release, but at the same time, if I don't have the cards for it, I'm not going to bother with it. We have next Abiding. Now the name might be off because it's translated from Japanese, but Abiding Vigilance. 1 generic, 2 white. Non-token creatures you control have +1 and +1/+1 and Vigilance. So I believe, what was the other one? It's updated version of the one that went for tokens, but it goes for non-tokens, and it's got that gothically creepy art with the angels and the rafters just staring down at you. Just Oh man, the flavor art of this is just oh. And the card overall is pretty good. Other people say they might replace Spear of Heliod with this. It's all up for interpretation. It's also only non-creatures though, so if you're running heavy creature strategy, but you incorporate tokens, this card's not going to be very useful to you. But if you're running heavy creatures without tokens, have at it. Asylum Visitor. 1 black, 1 generic, 3/1. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if that player has no cards in your hand, you draw a card and lose 1 life. And it has Madness, 1 black. Actually, it's got Madness same as its cost. 1 generic, 1 black. I guess it's okay. I mean, there's cards. I mean, I have cards like there's the Demon. Remember from Dragon's Maze, which again I have because that's why my mind went to it. That would like cause you to discard at the end of the turn or something like that. But it's the beginning of each player's upkeep, which I believe takes place. No, it takes place before the draw set. That's the thing. All right. But that being said, this is only good in a format that has something like Madness in it. Otherwise, it's too selective of a card. It's too conditional of a card to be. And I mean, a 3/1 for 2 is not bad, but for rare, I mean, if you're focusing on yourself with the Madness cost, then that's something because it itself has Madness, but I don't know. It just doesn't seem very strong. But it could. For what do I know? It could be amazing. Thalia's Lieutenant. 1 generic, 1 white for a 1/1. It's human. Human tribe is back. Human legendary soldier, or not legendary, human soldier rare. When Thalia's Lieutenant enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on each human you control. It's only going to matter if you have a lot of fucking humans on the battlefield. Which, there's stuff that lends for humans. Also, whenever another human enters the battlefield under your control, you put a +1/+1 counter on Thalia's Lieutenant. You better be sure you are in humans if you're playing this card. You better sure you have enough humans to make this worth it. But if you got enough humans to make this worth it, yeah, it's pretty worth it. You could run multiple copies of this too, and it would a stack on itself being pretty good. Then we have Welcome to the Fold. This is an interesting one. It's 2 generic, 2 blue. Gain control target creature if its toughness is 2 or less. If Welcome to the Unfold's Madness cost was paid, which is Madness cost is 2 blue X. Instead, gain control of that creature if its toughness is X or less. I like the art. I'm big on. I love blue, but I assume you want to play this for its Madness cost, whatever the discard ability is going to be. I don't know. I mean, anything that takes control of creatures is good, but it's just a little. It's a little much, I think. But then again, I've seen people play worse or play more for worse. So, I mean, we'll see how it plays. And I'm a blue player by nature. That's the thing. And I'm not overly wowed by this card. Then we have a new werewolf, Village Messenger. 1 red, 1/1, haste. Same conditional transformation as all werewolves. And then turns into Moonrise Intruder, 2/2 menace. At the beginning of each upkeep, a player casts 2/2 menace. Transformability as always. Love the artwork on that werewolf. That artwork's great, and it's a solid little card. You know, you can play it on turn 1, then wait for them to try to play something on turn 2. Assuming they don't play anything on turn 2, you can transform them into a 2/2 werewolf, then play something else, and then just start swinging in for a 2/2 on turn 2. Very good stuff. Now, what I say, it's not the Reckless Wife, I believe it was. The 3/2 that was for 1. But it's still pretty good. Then a couple other small ones we had for today were Paranoid Perish Blade. I like how that rolls off the tongue. Paranoid Perish Blade. 2 generic, 1 white, 3/2. Delirium. 4 or more cards of different types in your graveyard, +1, and first strike, which means it would be a 4/2 with first strike for 3 if you have Delirium when you play it. That's not bad. That's a pretty solid card. Even on its own, a 3/2 is for 2 is just a generic vanilla creature. Manic Scribe. This one I like because I'm a big Mill fan. Whenever it enters the battlefield, each opponent puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into the graveyard. Delirium. Beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if there are 4 more cards among cards in your graveyard, they again put 3 cards into the battlefield. Now, if you're a self-miller, you can get that off easy and then just, continually mill them. See, the thing with Innistrad is that there's a lot of a lot of people love self-milling and not a big fan of milling their opponents because apparently it's never really a big winning strategy. I've usually had the opposite result where I usually find it a fairly competent strategy to mill my opponent's stuff. I mean, granted, a lot of times they haven't built decks that are designed to use the graveyard, but point being is that if you're taking their shit away for them to use, it does hurt them. So I just never quite understood it, but then again, that's why I'm not a competitive player. Moving on, Gibbering Fiend, 1 generic, 1 red. Gibbering Fiend enters the battlefield, and it's a 2/1 for 2. So standard card for just swinging it. Deals 1 damage to each opponent when it comes out of the battlefield. Beginning of each opponent's upkeep, Delirium deals 1 damage to a player. It's a good little pinger. You need to get rid of it. If it's late game, you if you got maybe 10 life left, and I'm talking about your opponent, and this guy shows up, then you need to get rid of him, because if it's late game, that Delirium is probably going to be active. We have Obsessive Skinner, 2 mana, 1 green, 1 generic, 1/1. When he enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. You could turn him into a 2/2 if you wanted. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if there are 4 or more cards, types among cards they control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. I am sensing a theme here of a cycle of big upkeep Deliriums, and this is no exception. This one's good, but it's good in the sense that you're going to need creatures. I mean, you could just pump him up more, but if you have creatures, overall, something's going to get pumped up. That's the beauty of the card. Now, some cards that showed up yesterday I didn't get a chance to talk about because I did the video and then they popped up. A lot of cards popped up yesterday after I did my video. Diagraph Colossus, Zombie, rare, 1 black, 2 generic, 2/2. When Diagraph enters the battlefield, put a +1 counter on it for each zombie in your graveyard. If you cast a zombie spell, put a black 2/2 zombie creature token into the battlefield. Zombies, man. You want to be in zombies? This is the card you want to be in for zombies. You're going to make tokens. I'm going to get bigger when there's zombies in the graveyard. All sorts of goodness. But you need to be in zombies. That's the thing about tribal sometimes. Is that, they comment, it's like the tribal themes in Innistrad aren't huge. It's fairly big. It's a fairly obvious tribal. But anyway, it's still good if you're using zombie, which there'll be a lot of in this set. Then Silver Fur Partisan, Wolf Warrior, not Werewolf, Wolf Warrior. It's the last of the Wolfren, basically. Silver Furs are the last remaining Wolfren, as they put it. 2 generic, 1 green, trample. Whenever a wolf or werewolf you control becomes the target of an instant or sorcery spell, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token into the battlefield. So I've heard a lot of people say for 3 mana for 2, its stats don't match its mana cost in terms of how good it is, because it's kind of just going to be squishy and not really deal damage. But you don't have this creature on the battlefield necessarily to do damage, unless you're going to pump him up and then do damage with him, because he's got trample, in which case, yeah, you do damage with him. But you don't use him for damage. You use him for his ability, which is a very good ability. If you're using instant sorceries pumps on him, and then put wolf creature tokens out into the battlefield, or on any werewolf you got, then you're going to amass a wolf army to just swing into. And if they get targeted by your opponents, you still get werewolf tokens and stuff like that. You give him hexproof, he's going to be a pretty an unfortunate thing to deal with. So I love this guy. I think this guy's great. Let's see, a couple other things to talk about. Okay, and then a bunch of blue cards got spoiled yesterday as well. So we have Ongoing Investigation. 1 enchantment, 1 generic, 1 blue. Whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, investigate. So if you got anything that's unblockable, it will definitely, I can never always say, I'll put this in my unblockable deck. Then you pay 1 generic, 1 green, exile a creature card from your graveyard, investigate, and you gain 2 life. So not only do you continue to investigate by doing that, you gain 2 life. Again, my unblockable deck would love that, because it is a green-white-blue. It's a Bant deck, so I would love this card. And overall, as long as you've got like evasion of some kind to swing into, you will get the value out of this card. This card's got value to it. But you need to be on an aggressive evasion strategy to get the full value out of this card. So Moving on, Trail of Evidence. Jace is, I like the flavor behind it. Every answer, and again, he sees this circle of these cryptoliths and that we got in the downward shrunken drown yard. I believe that was the name of it. 1 second, it's right here actually. Yeah, drown yard temple. Sorry. Yeah, the cryptoliths. So you can see it in the back. Every answer seems to have a more terrifying question, basically. And 2 generic, 1 blue. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, investigate. Another enchantment. They're definitely Jace. A lot of the blue is leaning towards investigate simply because of Jace, which I'm not going to mind that much. It's again a decent card if you're going in a spell heavy strategy. Then we have Daring Sleuth. So when you sacrifice a clue, transform Daring Sleuth it's a 2/1 human rogue, 2 and blue. It's a solid card you can get on turn 2. If you've already somehow got a clue token out in the battlefield, you could transform him on turn 3 into a 3/2 bearer of the overwhelming truth. Prowess, whenever Bearer of the Overwhelming Truth deals combat damage to a player, investigate. I love the art on that, by the way. He's got this lantern when he's normal, the Daring Sleuth, and then he turns his lanterns into this army of lanterns to go investigate. I love it. It's really cool. And it's a solid card. Prowess with all the spells so far we got in the set, it's going to be pretty good. When he deals damage, again, if you can give him evasion of some kind, he's going to cause more clue tokens to be on the battlefield. It's not hard with this set to transform this guy. This guy's one of the easiest things to transform. And I dig him. I dig the art more than anything else. The card itself is pretty good, but I dig the art. And then Jace's Scrutiny. 1 generic, 1 blue. Target creature gets -4, -0 until the end of turn, and investigate. There's your prowess enabler, and then you can be like, I'm going to swing into him. No, you're not. I now have a 4/3, and your guy's now is 0/2, and I just wrecked him. And I got a clue token. So, yeah, what was the point of that, man? Sorry, I'm just screwing your shit up today. But overall, I love everything I'm seeing out of this set. Innistrad, not my favorite plane, but I love the flavor of Innistrad. I love werewolves. Those are pretty cool. The angels are pretty cool. And I love the fact we're getting evil angels in this, which we surprisingly have not seen a lot of. We have not seen a lot of evil angel cards. I think they're saving those for next week because we still got Bruna. Because we have Sagara, who's still good. But we have Bruna and then Alabaster, I believe. Bruna is Alabaster and then Goldlight, whatever her name was. So we have them to go to still, and they're clearly going to be mythics. It should also be noted that besides if you want to count Arlen Cord, which should count Arlen Cord in the color pie, but in terms of monocolors, we have not gotten a single green mythic rare yet. Now, to be fair, on the transform card checklist for the rares and mythic rares, we only had 1 green, and we've already gotten our rare werewolf in the green. So I don't think we're getting a mythic rare green werewolf. But a mythic rare red werewolf? Maybe? Because I believe there's at least 2 transforms in the red. We have not seen the red transform card yet. With the red rare transform card yet. We've still got a bunch of transform cards to go on the list. So, we got a ways to go on this still. We got a lot of stuff to save. So, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. That's it for this week until Sunday when I do my box office report. Until then, yeah, take it easy, folks.